everyone, welcome to the InstaLog series with Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe. The series is designed to specifically discuss on culture and democracy, and I hope that you find today's discussion very significant as it's about urban planning and city development. So let's take forward our conversation. In this part, we are specifically wanting to address cities. As we know, cities are very crucial to the development. They are trade centers and also cultural capitals of a country. So, sir, we would like to know your opinion on how do we plan our cities and how do we plan our metropolitans?
Well, in India and several developing countries, cities have a particular growth story. I mean, there are hardly few maybe places where we can say that they emerged as cities right from the beginning. It doesn't happen that way. You have small towns and later on they become big towns and later on they grow into becoming a metropolitan city kind of a thing. So that is but natural. In our civilizational history also this has happened. But now that we are in a setup where everything is planned for the future, which is the right way of doing it, I think our cities should be having a futuristic planning insofar as infrastructure is concerned, and at the same time insofar as amenities, facilities and other things are concerned, basically with the idea of ensuring that cities doesn't end up becoming cement concrete jungles. Cities are living environments. They have a living organism. They have a past, they have a present and they have a future. And therefore, every city should try to create an ethos around it, and people need to be taking some ownership of their urban center, because as I said, cities cannot be just cement concrete jungles.
Right, sir. So you very well spoke about the growth story of the city and how, as India also had previous, like various ancient cities like Varanasi, which is 5,000 years old, and now more recent cities which we have like Pune and Bangalore, which are the IT hubs, which have a certain type of requirement for the infrastructure. So how do you see this infrastructure going forward, like the vertical development that is happening? How would you?
In a way, it is bound to happen that way, because the geography of a particular city in a way shapes whether it will grow vertically or horizontally. A city like Mumbai cannot afford growing horizontally because it is an island city kind of. But having said that, let me also share that Varanasi is one of the brilliant examples of how an old kind of historically important, spiritually a very live center kind of a city could be given a new look in every possible way. I mean, today if one visits Varanasi, which is also the constituency of Honorable Prime Minister, I think you will be able to see how the city has changed itself and almost entirely, and therefore I believe city dwellers also need to collectively and in a very resolute manner ensure that their city growth remains on planned kind of a program. At the same time, every urban dweller takes the responsibility of his or her surroundings, whether it is cleanliness, whether it is public hygiene related issues and several such things which collectively we are all responsible for.
Right, sir. So you very well pointed out about the sense of ownership that the citizens need to have. So the population that currently is existing in our cities, it's a mix of a lot of demographies. So to a certain extent, we would say that our cities are overpopulating. So how would you like to address this particular concern of our cities that is coming up?
Well, I think in a way, globally also, urbanization is the most in thing. And you cannot wish that urbanization could be controlled. What we can do is we can regulate the urbanization. It doesn't become a kind of mindless urbanization. And therefore, all kinds of legal, infrastructural and other arrangements and some kind of a homework, which is also required to have that kind of planned city phenomenon taking its roots. But insofar as our country is concerned, I believe to a certain extent, this migration of rural people coming to the city centers because they have become kind of aspirational centers for the entire society is very understandable, is very natural also. Today, and especially after Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government, where Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam's vision of providing urban amenities to rural areas under a PURA, Pura scheme was implemented, and even today under the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, I think we are also paying due attention to our rural areas, and therefore rural areas are also taking a new shape. I believe this is the way of balancing the growth between urban and rural. Rural migration to a certain extent is unstoppable. Our constitution gives us the liberty, the freedom to stay wherever we want to. But at the same time, if agriculture and agri-related businesses are given impetus, which is what the government is doing, then I'm sure people will have less reasons to migrate to the urban areas.
Right, sir. You very well touched upon how the population can migrate and carry on a sort of reverse migration to the rural areas again to better make our population more complete and sufficient in a manner. So, what is your take on the dependency ratio, sir, if you would like to answer that in the future, because we are talking about futuristic development of...
Well, this issue of dependency ratio basically has taken some, it has gained some prominence in the Western countries and in other parts of the globe, because there the family system as what we have is facing several challenges, and therefore young population generally speaking is not staying with their parents or the older population, and therefore this dependency thing came into discussion. But in our country, since we have a very strong family system and where individuality and collectivism is also kind of balanced in a particular way, or at least an attempt is made, so I think this issue may not be all that prominent. But in the future, it may gain that prominence which is there in other countries, and therefore I believe we need to have some setup where the young and the old population can, if they want, stay separately, at the same time stay in nearby vicinity. So one can take care of the other family members. The older people also can rush to the help of the younger one, and the younger people also can take care of the older generation people of their family without losing their private space, their freedom, their liberty and everything. Because in a way, generational gap is a fact of life. You cannot wish it away. At the same time, you have to overcome it, because our culture tells us that family and family values are extremely important, and it is the family system which is something very unique about Indian culture, and therefore we cannot just take the entire population through this transition. I think we have to devise our own ways of dealing with the dependency related issues.
Correct, sir. So this sense of community that we have is very unique, like you already mentioned. And this sense of community, when a person, young adult, is moving or migrating to a city, they tend to lose a sense of belonging to a place. मातृभाषेसाठी जे एक belonging असतं ते कुठेतरी मिसिंग वाटतं. So how would you say, how can we bring this sense of belonging in cities again?
दोन पद्धतीने याच्याकडे बघितलं पाहिजे. एक, तुम्ही मातृभाषेचा उल्लेख केला. आता आपल्या देशामध्ये मायग्रेशन तर होतंच. महाराष्ट्रातला माणूस चेन्नईला जातो किंवा बंगलोरमध्ये नोकरी मिळते किंवा आणखी कोणी दिल्लीमध्ये येतं. परंतु जसं आपल्या देशाच्या नव्या राष्ट्रीय शैक्षणिक धोरणामध्ये पण आहे की मातृभाषा ही मातृभूमीसारखीच महत्त्वाची आहे, आणि त्यामुळे मातृभाषेशी आपला संपर्क राहायला पाहिजे. आपण एका बहुभाषिक जगामध्ये आहोत, पण याचा अर्थ असा नाही की आपण मातृभाषेला विसरावं. कारण मातृभाषेतून शिक्षण, मातृभाषेतून आपली अभिव्यक्ती ही अधिक चांगल्या पद्धतीने होऊ शकते, आपलं आकलन अधिक चांगलं होऊ शकतं. आणि त्यामुळे भाषा ही आपल्या अस्मितेचा एक भाग आहे. त्याच्याकडे दुर्लक्ष करून चालणार नाही आपल्याला. पण दुसऱ्या बाजूने आपल्याला एका बहुभाषिक जगातही वावरावं लागेल, कारण भारत हा अनेक भाषा भगिनींचा देश आहे आणि सगळ्याच भाषा महत्त्वाच्या आहेत. हिंदी जेवढी महत्त्वाची आहे तेवढीच कन्नडा महत्त्वाची, मराठी, बंगाली, आसामी या सगळ्या भाषा महत्त्वाच्या आहेत. दुसऱ्या बाजूने असं आहे की हा जो सेन्स ऑफ बिलॉंगिंग आहे, जो आपल्या देशाकरता, जो आपल्या समाजाकरता आवश्यक आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये विशेषतः शहरांमध्ये आज अनेक ठिकाणी डॉर्मिटरी सिटीज अस्तित्वात आल्या आहेत. लोक नॉयडामध्ये राहतात, दिल्लीला काम करायला येतात, किंवा गुडगावात राहतात, दिल्लीत काम करतात, किंवा ठाण्याला राहतात, मुंबईत काम करतात. तर हे स्वाभाविक आहे. परंतु तुम्ही जिथे राहता तिथे आणि जिथे काम करतात तिथे या दोन्ही ठिकाणी तुम्हाला एक आपलेपणा वाटला पाहिजे की हे शहर तुमचं आहे. आणि तो वाटण्यासाठी या शहरांमधल्या, जसं स्मार्ट सिटीची एक संकल्पना आहे, त्या स्मार्ट सिटीमध्ये कल्चर हा देखील एक विषय आहे. त्यामुळे चांगली नाट्यगृह पाहिजेत, चांगली वाचनालयं पाहिजेत, चांगली उद्यानं पाहिजेत, चांगल्या व्यायामशाळा पाहिजेत. हे सगळं झालं तर आपलं समाजाशी एक नातं निर्माण होतं. आणि ते नातं निर्माण समाजाशी होता होता ते शहरही आपल्याला आपलं वाटायला लागतं, कारण तो परिसर आपल्याला आपला वाटायला लागतो. आणि त्यामुळे हे आपुलकीचं नातं निर्माण होणं, ज्याला आपण सेन्स ऑफ बिलॉंगिंग म्हणतो, हे दोन्ही ठिकाणी खूप आवश्यक आहे. जिथे तुम्ही काम करता तेही तुमचंच शहर आहे, आणि जिथे तुम्ही रात्री निवासाला जाता तेही तुमचंच शहर आहे.
अगदी बरोबर पॉईंट आउट केलं सर तुम्ही. सो जेव्हा हे सेन्स ऑफ बिलॉंगिंग आपल्याला येतं ती हेरिटेजसोबतच येतं. जर तुमच्या सिटीमध्ये काही हेरिटेज असेल जे तुम्हाला त्याच्या टुवर्ड्स आपुलकी वाटते, तर ते एक तुम्हाला सेन्स ऑफ बिलॉंगिंग डेव्हलप होतं. तर हे हेरिटेज आपण कसं प्रिझर्व करू शकतो, पण साथ आपण अर्बनायझेशनचं बॅलन्स कसं करणार?
असं मला वाटतं की ह्याच्यामध्ये काही फार म्हणजे संघर्ष आहे असं काही नाही. देर इज नो क्लॅश. You can continue to be in a more urbanized and developed city. At the same time, you have to preserve your heritage, because that is something which is important for the entire global community. हे केवळ तुमची हेरिटेज नाही आहे, ती जगाची हेरिटेज आहे. त्यामुळे आपल्याकडचे गड किल्ले, आपल्याकडची स्मारकं, आपल्याकडची वारसा स्थळं, एखादं 150 वर्षापूर्वीचं काही आहे, 300 वर्षापूर्वीचं आहे, आपल्या देशात तर 1000 वर्षापूर्वीच्या गोष्टी देखील आहेत. हे भाग्य सगळ्या देशांना मिळत नाही. त्यामुळे या वस्तूंचं जतन करणं, त्यांचं अनुरक्षण करणं आणि त्या नव्या पिढीकडे आहे त्यापेक्षा अधिक चांगल्या स्वरूपात पोचवणं, सोपवणं हे आपलं काम आहे. आणि त्यासाठी केवळ आर्किओलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया किंवा सरकारचा पुरातत्व विभाग यांच्यावर अवलंबून राहून चालणार नाही. हे देखील नागरिकांनी पुढे येऊन करण्याची गोष्ट आहे. इनिशिएटिव्ह ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ सिटीजन, सिटी ड्वेलर्स इज एक्स्ट्रीमली इम्पॉर्टंट. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, इन ए सिटी लाईक ठाणे, मी ठाण्याहून येतो, तर ठाण्यामध्ये अनंत कान्हेरे नावाचे जे क्रांतिकारक होते त्यांना फाशी दिलं होतं. हे जर ठाणेकरांना माहिती नसेल तर आपण शहराच्या वारशांबद्दल कसं बोलू शकू? पुण्यामध्ये महाजी शिंदे यांची छत्री आहे, हे जर पुणेकरांना माहिती नसेल तर आपण पुणेकर कसे म्हणू शकू स्वतःला? आणि त्यामुळे पुणेकरांना जशी सिंहगडची माहिती पाहिजे, शनिवारवाड्याची माहिती पाहिजे, महाजी शिंद्यांच्या छत्रीची माहिती पाहिजे, तसंच मुंबईकरांना देखील घारापुरीच्या किल्ल्याची माहिती पाहिजे. वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या मुंबई शहरात अस्तित्वात असलेल्या इतिहासाच्या खाणाखुणा त्यांना माहिती पाहिजेत. असं नागपूर शहरात आहे, असं संभाजीनगर किंवा औरंगाबादमध्ये आहे, कोल्हापूरमध्ये आहे. हे प्रत्येक शहराचं एक व्यक्तिमत्व हे एवढ्या सगळ्या शतकांमधून निर्माण होत राहतं. आणि त्यामुळे ते गावही त्या ऐतिहासिक वारसा स्थळांमुळे ओळखलं जातं. ती त्या शहराची ओळख आहे, आणि शहर ओळखलं जातं म्हणून तुम्ही ओळखले जातं.
अगदी बरोबर सर. सो ही डेव्हलपमेंटबद्दल आणि आपण वारसा कसा आपला पाळू शकतो आणि पुढे त्याला नेऊ शकतो याच्याबद्दल तुम्ही एकदम छान डिस्क्राईब केलं. सो पुढच्या याच्यामध्ये आपण डेव्हलपमेंट ऑफ सिटीजमध्ये जी विल असते ती खूप इम्पॉर्टंट असते, आणि जर ती विल स्ट्रॉंग असेल तरच आपण पुढे सगळे स्टेप्समध्ये ते कॅरी फॉरवर्ड करू शकतो. तर नेक्स्ट स्टेप्समध्ये तुम्ही काय आम्हाला बोलू शकाल की कसं आपलं डेव्हलपमेंट ऑफ सिटीज वी वॉन्ट टू टेक फॉरवर्ड?
So basically, I say that urban governance also becomes very, very important here, and the way we are governing our cities, wherein all kinds of integrated approaches are required. Today in a city, although the mayor is the first citizen, the present legal framework provides him very little authority and less power for that matter, and therefore he cannot decide which street could be earmarked as one way and which could not be earmarked as one way. So city police, city government, which is the municipal corporation or whosoever, and all other similar agencies require to work in a more coordinated manner. कारण शेवटी नगरसेवक जो आहे, तुम्ही ज्याला कॉर्पोरेटर म्हणून निवडून देता, त्यालाही काहीतरी अधिकार असले पाहिजे. त्याला अधिकार नसेल तर त्याच्याकडून त्याचं जे उपद्रव मूल्य, इंग्रजीत ज्याला न्यूसन्स व्हॅल्यू म्हणतात, ते वाढण्याची शक्यता आहे. आणि आज असं अनेकदा होताना दिसतं. आणि त्यामुळे अर्बन गव्हर्नन्समध्ये लोकप्रतिनिधींना अधिक अधिकार आणि अधिकाराबरोबर अधिक जबाबदारी आणि आपण ज्याला उत्तरदायित्व म्हणतो, आन्सरॅबिलिटी, ही वाढवण्याची गरज आहे. ते जर झालं तर आपल्या शहरांमधलं जीवन, the quality of life could perhaps be much better than what it is today.
On that very hopeful note, sir, we would like to conclude our talk today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was all about our very insightful conversation with Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe. With that, we are concluding this InstaLog and hope to see you in the next InstaLog very soon with another very important topic to discuss.